As a non-native speaker, how did you overcome language barriers working in Brazil?
So it was definitely a challenge. I came to Brazil. I didn't speak any Portuguese. Originally was just there for 2 months, and that was less of a challenge. It was more when I decided to stay long term that I really noticed the difficulty. In fact, my very first project, just before the first meeting, the CEO said, "I know this was supposed to be an English project, but it's now going to be in Portuguese." And I was the manager for that project, which made it a bit challenging because I was only going to start classes the next week. So you actually learn you can pick up a language a little more quickly than you thought you were going to if you're sitting in meetings and everyone just speaks Portuguese. I was quite amazed by that. But you really have to become much more adept at picking up nonverbal cues. And so something that I became much more focused on was sort of how people were saying the things that they were, in addition to just the words that they were saying. And so that was something I very much had to become conversant in. And the other thing that I really... I think maybe, I don't know that I took it for granted before, but I definitely appreciated it a lot more afterwards, was you gain a lot more of the interaction when you truly do understand sort of the person's native language. If they're speaking in their second language, which would be English, you don't necessarily understand all the context and nuance because they're not communicating in their mother tongue. And so I felt that I was able to learn a lot from that perspective, and also gained a lot of appreciation from clients. Maybe my bias, but beforehand was learned English, focused a lot on English, and maybe didn't spend as much time learning other languages as I should. And you gain a lot of credibility when you're trying to speak someone else's language. So when I was in Mozambique, for example, and I was working with the government there, I was far from perfect and fluent in the language, but the fact that I was going out of my way to speak their language and willing to show that, I was wanting to speak their language even though I wasn't perfect in doing so, I got a lot of credibility with the government. And they were, I think, more open and willing to talk to me because of my willingness to meet them halfway, or a little bit more on the Portuguese side with some English mixed in. And so it was a very eye-opening experience, something that I think has now made me want to learn more languages, but definitely was a challenge to begin with. It was very, very hard working in another country when I could not speak the language.